Welcome to In the News with Double O Des. I'm Des Bernardo, giving you my perspective on news from South Africa and the rest of the world. In the news today, there is an article that caught my attention, and this article's headline reads, "Surfers break lockdown regulations to catch some waves in Kommetjie." Now, you should know that recently that surfers have been protesting next to the beach because they feel like they can't practice an activity that some of them might believe is safe, and some of these protesters have even been arrested for their actions. Now, in this article, there's a video of the surfers enjoying the water, and there's about, I would say, close on 20 surfers in the water. The main thing that caught my attention is the gist of the article, and I will just read for you. The Kommetjie surfing community is split down the middle, with many of them obeying the lockdown regulations, remaining out of the ocean and off the beach, while some are braving the threat of being arrested to catch some waves. Now, the part that caught my attention is the fact that this article is saying that the community is divided down the middle. And to me, that is quite an assumption to make. Carrying on in the article, it says that one surfer who contacted News 24 and requested to remain anonymous said that he was disgusted by these selfish surfers disregarding the lockdown regulations. He said, "I find it ridiculous that the community of Kommetjie have continued to surf in lockdown. There are thousands of surfers around the country waiting patiently to get back in the water, but we have to adhere to the rules. Other beaches, you can't even step on the sand without being fined or arrested," he wrote in an email. Now, just on this, the surfers that are in the water have used their constitutional right to break the lockdown regulations and enter the water, which is their right as a citizen, and with that right comes a responsibility and a consequence. And the consequence could be that they could be arrested. But it is important to understand that our country is currently in a state of disaster. We are not in a state of emergency. And under the state of disaster, the Constitution is still fully intact. In other words, all our rights of movement and our human rights that are protected in the Bill of Rights are still in force. And this means that any regulation under this lockdown and laws that are passed are all unconstitutional if they go against the Bill of Rights, which many of them do. And that means that if any of us want to challenge these regulations in court, especially the Constitutional Court, that we have a very strong case to actually win. And if I continue here, just to explain this community being split down the middle, he complained that even professional surfers are staying out of the water and losing their sponsors and money as a result, but these surfers think they are above the law, the ones in the water, of course. There are hundreds of surfers really getting annoyed by these guys, he told News 24. So he is claiming here that he is either speaking for hundreds of surfers or he has spoken to hundreds of surfers that he represents. Now, my opinion on people that remain anonymous is quite simply that he is pathetic. If he wants to state anything publicly, as is his right as a South African citizen, if he wants to enforce the lockdown regulations, he should phone the police and get them to enforce these lockdown regulations. And then the people that are in the water, they could be arrested. Many things could happen to them. They could get beaten up. They could get killed, as has happened to some of the people under the lockdown regulations. Not because the lockdown regulations say that you could be killed, but because of the enforcement of those regulations. We know that more than 8 people have been killed so far. So these people in the water then have a right to defend their actions in court, because this is how our constitutional democracy works. And any citizen has the right to break the law and for that law to then be tested in court, of which the Constitutional Court is the highest court in the country. And as I've said before, at the moment, the Constitution protects our rights of movement and a freedom of association, etc. To continue further, a professional sailor and surfer, Joe Speakman, said that the majority of surfers feel like they can surf safely. He feels like he's speaking for the majority of surfers, while maintaining physical distance. He also said that he understands why the surfers are breaking the regulations, but he still feels a little disappointed. So this is someone that is caught down the middle. Then, it drags us down a little bit. I think the way for us to get in the water is to abide by the rules, and hopefully they'll just open up the rules sooner rather than later. I'm worried that they're going to prevent us from going in the water for longer now, he said. So he's obviously concerned, as is any citizen of the country, can be concerned by the consequences of the lockdown regulations. Some community members standing on the deck at the beach were impartial. They said there were more important things to worry about than the surfers in the ocean, and that if someone chooses to go surfing, they must be willing to face the consequences, exactly as I've said. I don't believe that being out at sea is going to spread the virus. I think there are worse things spreading the virus than being out at sea, said missionary Bernice Anderson. And then fisherman and surfer Philippe Carrison said that people should be able to do anything that is safe within their 5-kilometer radius. Once again, someone's opinion. The government should respect us and believe in us, that we know what the right and wrong things are to do. We're not idiots, he said. Now, it's very important to understand that us as citizens, we are actually in charge or in control of the country. That the government that we elect are the people that are supposed to represent our thoughts and actions. Now, there are millions of people in the country, and I certainly can't speak for all of them. I am just basing what I'm saying on the Constitution of South Africa. And under that Constitution, we have certain rights. And one thing that I believe that our government has not done from the beginning with regards to the lockdown is actually our president giving us evidence as to why we should be locked down. And we are locked down for something that we cannot see. So we have to trust the mainstream media worldwide to literally obey the rules that our government has imposed on us, and that have come from many other organizations like the World Health Organization and hopefully local professionals in South Africa that have given recommendations. It's the politician's job and the president's job and this command council that he has formed, which is not constitutional, to actually impose whatever they feel necessary on us, and then it is for us to decide if we will obey this. And we are fully within our right to not obey these regulations and then face the consequences in a court of law, where that regulation can be challenged and be declared unconstitutional. And this will be happening more and more from now on. Thank you for joining me in the news today.